Hey everyone, and welcome back. The Instruction Office was interested in me doing a short tutorial video on helping out with online office hours for your DE class, and specifically using Zoom, of course, which we're familiar with. And I just want to mention that I have another video coming out this fall focused on the new features in Zoom, including all those interactive features that you can get using the Zoom app. So be sure to check that one out as well. So what I'm going to do here is show you 3 different ways to approach doing office hours in Zoom. And I can't really say which is the best for you because it really depends on how you teach your class. The first 2 I'm going to talk about have one challenge, and that one challenge is if you have a number of students who log on at the same time and they want to get in with you, you're going to have to really control via the waiting room in Zoom, letting the students know that there's a wait list, and then kind of you'll take them in order depending on how long your office hours are. So bear with me because that's a little bit of just built into this scenario with these 3 options. You have to think about what works best for you. Okay, so the first one is traditional. Okay, so for this first approach, we're going to log into our traditional Zoom, and I already have this office hours meeting set up, which is a recurring meeting, and that's key. On any of your office hours, you typically want a recurring meeting. I've heard some faculty say to me that they like to schedule separate meetings for each time block. I think it adds a little bit of work, so I wouldn't recommend that. But again, you're welcome to do as you see fit for your style and your approach to technology and pedagogy. So because I already have this, I'm just going to type office hours test on here. So I'm just going to click on the date, and then the key is to click recurring meeting. So this is just like your calendar in Outlook. The minute you click recurring meeting, you know that it's going to meet more than once in a given week, and it will continue to do this. You then, like in Outlook, set your recurrence. Daily, weekly, probably you're going to do weekly, and if you want it to repeat for the entire quarter, 11 or 12 weeks into final, you click 12. And then if you want it on every Tuesday and Thursday, you'd click that. And then you would simply set the time. Your time zone is going to be obviously West Coast, if you're teaching in Minnesota or wherever, that would be your time zone, and it will adjust per student. And then you just go on here and click the time. So if it's 11 to 12 for 1 hour, then when I set this up, it'll recur every single Tuesday and Thursday at that time. And then you're just going to hit save. Now, keep in mind that under your profile, you have your personal meeting ID, so you could always use that. You could give that to your students if you want. That's unique to you, and every single Zoom user has that. Or I like to make it easier by setting up, again, a unique office hour meeting. By the way, there's some blurring on here. If you let people know out in the world on social media your ID, they can easily Zoom hack you or Zoom bomb you. So you just want to make sure on that. So what I would want to do, by the way, for my next step, if I'm doing the Zoom approach, is click on that office hours meeting. You could either copy this short video link here on your keyboard. If you wanted the entire thing that allows you also to have dial-in, then you just want to copy this whole thing here, and the main Zoom join via the web or a cell phone is listed right there. Now what I'm going to do is go into any Canvas page. So I could call this office hours, and I'm going to call this test, and then I would type a description here, and then I could just hit this and then hit the return key. It will typically, I got to go back and do that one more time, then it puts the link in. So then what happens is I save and publish that, and then I share this with my students and say, here are my office hours time, click on this and you will join. Again, the key challenge with this method and method 2 is anytime students join at the same time. Apologies, by the way, there's a little bit of construction going on, as you might imagine, so we're getting some bleed in the microphone for the entirety of this video. But one of the things that is challenging about approach 1 and 2 is if you have 3 students logging on at the same time, 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, the question becomes, how do you let them in? Probably in order, but you got to let them know if they get impatient. It's a little tricky, and that's why option 3, using the calendar inside of Canvas, is your best option. The challenge with that is it's a little more work for you and also for the students getting there. Okay, so again, this is option 1. This is traditional Zoom. Some people like to do this. Copy the invite, put it in your office hour Canvas page. Very easy. The student clicks on that, one click, and they are online and able to join you for office hours. Okay, option 2 is a little more involved for you, not really for the student. What you're going to do differently is instead of starting with your Zoom app, zoom.us, you're going to actually go into Canvas And if you don't see this Tech Connect Zoom, you're going to want to click on your settings and then your navigation menu. If you don't see Tech Connect Zoom, if it's down here, what you need to do is move it up here, and as you always remember on this page for your navigation menu, you have to hit save at the bottom. If you move away from it without hitting save, it won't readjust your navigation menu. Okay, so now that I've done that, you'll see that it actually is available. Again, you could put this where you want. If you want it at the top, just when you do the drag and the drop of that menu item, just make sure that it is in the right place that you want it. Now, I've seen this, by the way, so if you get this message on a Mac, cookies are blocked or not supported by your browser, just do this via Google Chrome, and you sometimes see this on a Mac. I couldn't tell you for PC users since I'm not a PC user. But if I click on here, it's going to take me then into zoom.us, and you see that the interface is a little bit different than what we just saw with this interface doing it directly. So this is like that old version of Tech Connect Zoom. Remember, you'd go on and it had kind of a clunky calendar type system. So what you do here is you click schedule a new meeting, and then you could again title this office hours, type your meeting description. Like before, if you want this to be a recurring meeting, click here. And you see it's basically the exact same setup. So I could choose weekly. I could decide to end it after X number of occurrences. It's a little bit different, slightly different, but very much the same. It'll set up the passcode. It'll set up a waiting room. Again, you really do want a waiting room. If you don't have that and all your students log on at the same time, it's really challenging. I would generally say for office hours, you don't want to record office hours because you want students to be comfortable. By the way, you're going to notice this fall in the student suites that we're rolling out, or I should say I am suggesting that you might want to talk about this as drop-in hours versus office hours, because office hours sometimes seems a little bit intense, maybe for some students, because they say, it sounds like I'm in trouble or something like that. I'm going to the principal's office, I'm in trouble. So now I would probably then want to click those off. Now, what will happen here is you're going to hit save, and you see it has the attendee join code here. What's going to happen then, and let's just hope this works. So I'm going to move back into my class, and I'm going to go to home. The idea behind this is it integrates the meeting inside of Canvas via that Tech Connect Zoom link, as opposed to for you going externally to your Zoom app on zoom.us, setting that up, putting that into a page. So the theory is, and I'm saying the theory because the problem is, this is I'm trying this out, and this is a sandbox class. Let's see what happens if I click on Tech Connect Zoom. I've logged into the student view, which is indicated by the fuchsia, pink, purple kind of hue here of the screen and of the border. So now if I click on Tech Connect Zoom, it should ask me if I want to join that meeting. Let's try this out. Cross my fingers it works for you. And indeed it does. Okay, so the idea is the student would join, it tells me the time, and then it's very easy for the student to join. So in this sense, you're eliminating with the step 2 versus step 1, you're eliminating the step of setting it up external in zoom.us and then creating a page in Canvas. So it does reduce a little bit of time for you. Potentially for the students, it's about the same operation, because depending on how using method 1, how you have that page set up for the students, it could be very easy to find because you might have that as part of the navigation menu in your modules, whatever. I'm going to leave the student view. Again, the students would connect on Tech Connect Zoom, and then they would easily be able to join the office hours. Keep in mind, you can very simply do this as a page as well. You can link anything inside of Canvas as an intra link inside of Canvas. Just do that in your module structure, and then the students know exactly where to join. And one recommendation is you could actually create a brand new module, call that Office Hours, and then if you want to, you could add a page or add that link to the office hours that we just looked at in Tech Connect Zoom. So that's another easy way to do things with option 2. Again, I think it's a little bit easier because it eliminates one of the steps. Okay, so let's look now at option 3. And option 3 is the most complicated, but it adds one important element that I think could really be a problem solver for you. That is blocks of time that students choose. If you've used, by the way, the application called Calendly. I always have trouble saying that one. The idea behind this is you could actually use Calendly to set up specific login times. In fact, I met with a new faculty member last week and he was saying, hey, can we use Calendly to set up office hours? Absolutely. If you want to do that in your own class, if that's something you would be interested in, you can, of course, academic freedom, always integrate any kind of technology that you want to use inside of Zoom, inside of Canvas, inside any of your applications that you use to teach your students. So if you use Calendly, that's great. Go ahead and do that. I'm not going to go through that. I'd be happy to train any of you on Calendly because I've used this for my training sign-ups for all of you. But the reason I bring up Calendly is because it's on my mind because this faculty member mentioned it, and what you're going to see with the Calendar app native inside of Canvas is actually very much like a Calendly or one of the sign-up apps where students choose in an hour time period. If you have 15 minutes or 30 minutes, they would have a choice of either 4 for 15 or 2 for 30-minute blocks of meeting times with you for office hours. So what I'm going to do with this that makes it, I think, a little bit trickier maybe for you and a teeny bit trickier for the student is you're actually going to do this under the calendar, which you find not specific to your class, but as part of your account. So every student and every faculty member who uses Canvas has this available. And the idea behind this, of course, is that it's part of your main user experience because you might, as a student or faculty member, of course, have more than one class. And so therefore your calendar will cover every class. Just like if you log onto your phone, which is recording our talk here today, our video, you have different calendars for home, for LTCC, for work, for your groceries or whatever. You have different calendars for different aspects of your life. It's the same thing with the calendar app inside of Canvas. So to get to this, you're going to click on Calendar. So once you click on Calendar right here, you're going to notice that it has a calendar that, just like on your iPhone or Outlook calendar, you can display by week, by month, by agenda. You can change the month up here. You can, just like in Outlook, click on any of the dates and then set up a new time. And then the good news is you can also do, as we'll see here in a second, recurrence, and you can leave a lot of information there very specific to that event. So in the case of office hours, you could explain what office hours are, or if you want to call it drop-in times, etc. You can do that all within the program here in Calendar. The other thing you're going to notice is you have all your different calendars. So this is, again, very much mirroring what you see on Outlook or your iPhone, where you can choose the calendar. And this is important because if you want to do an office hour for 4 classes versus 1, you can do that. If you want to do an office hour just for your Anthro 107 and have a separate office hour for Anthro 102, you can do that. And again, the reason today I can't tell you how exactly to do this within Calendar inside of Canvas, or which of these 3 options I've gone over today that you should choose, is because, again, it really depends on how many classes you teach. It depends on how you like to structure your office hours. If you do a global office hour, whether you teach 1 or 4 classes and you have all your students come in at that same office hour time or date or Tuesday, Thursday of the week or whatever, then that's going to be different than if you set it up for each class. So the way you would approach this is first start with the date. Let's say it's a Tuesday, Thursday. I'd click on, say, the 23rd because that's a Tuesday. I would type the event here. So I type office hours, and I already have one of these, call it test. Okay, and then I could choose the start time. So let's just pretend it starts at 10 a.m. and it'll be 1 hour every day. And again, this depends on full versus part-time faculty. We all have different office hours structured, so it's often hard to, say this is going to work for everybody. Now, event location, I could do that on Zoom. So again, depending on how you're teaching, how many classes you're teaching, how you do your office hours, you could choose a specific class. If I want just everything, I'm going to do all my office hours in one fell swoop, then what I want to do is click on my name, because that's my specific calendar for everything I do in Canvas, trainings, classes, etc. Now, if you want, you can click on other specific icons here or tabs. I'm probably not going to have this as part of an assignment maybe a to-do list. And this, I think, gets kind of interesting because at this point you can actually set up slots available to users, and thus it really replicates what I was talking about with the Calendly app, where they very specifically allow signups only during that range. So in order to do this, I've actually got a trick canvas here. It's going to get confused if I do it at a date in the past. So let me stick it tomorrow on the 30th. And let's say my office hour block is 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. I would click that there, and check this out. If I click 30 minutes and hit go, it's going to create 2 slots. If I hit 15 minutes, which let's just do that to see more of these, it'll create 4 slots. I'm going to hit go, and by the way, you do want to click here also, limit each time slot to 1 user. If you had groups of students that you felt comfortable meeting with, you could have 2, and then on the student end, when they sign up, they're allowed to sign up student 1 and then student 2. I'm just going to click it for 1. And then I would not click this. FERPA, it's fine because students obviously can know that another given student is your class per FERPA rules, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Why would you care or even want one student to know when another student is meeting with you? So I would never check personally option 2. I would click 1 and then limit participants to attend for 1 appointment unless you wanted students the option to meet on a given day with you more than once. If you wanted that, then leave that off. Otherwise, I want 1 unique student in 1 time slot per day, let's say, and they can only meet with me once just to allow other students an opportunity to meet with you. Again, if I want to select calendars, this is the point where I could say it's going to be for cultural, it's going to be for Anthro 107, Anthro 102, or if I don't want it, if I want it to be for everything, I don't have to click any of those. It's actually going to just do it for my calendar. So in this case, I won't click it. And again, I could hit the name and the location. And then if I hit go, you're going to see it sets up 4 time slots because 15 will go into an hour 4 times. So that makes it kind of easy. At this point, then I'll hit publish, and I'm going to remember this is called, I need to call this office hours test. And one other thing to mention, if you wanted to do group stuff, you could even have students sign up in groups. Again, the complexity of this, it makes it possible for you to do a lot of different things. You can, by the way, click on more options. I'm not going to do that, but if you did that, you would actually then, just have it on the wrong calendar there, but you would actually then have more details that you can add information and so forth. And we should see this under student view. Again, we'll cross our fingers because I'm prototyping and it's harder to see this versus a live class. Again, I've set up my time range, my dates, my slots. I've clicked 1 user, 1 per appointment, once per day, let's say, and then here I'm going to hit submit. Now on my calendar, you see that shows up here, office hours test. Okay, so let's try this. We're going to go to our student view, and in order to do that, just to prototype here, I actually have to go to one of my classes. So I'm going to click on my sandbox and click on student view. And then this is actually a different, I warned you about this, but because I'm prototyping, because on my student view, it's not allowing me to, I'm not enrolled in this class. I can't see what was called office hours test, but I do have another one here that I set up specific via this class a day or 2 ago. What I can do is click on that and check that out. The student will just click to join the meeting and they are able to join. So again, I think this could be a good option for you and your students. It adds a little more work up front for you as the instructor. It also adds a little more work that you have to maybe detail this to the student. So I would recommend either a walkthrough video or setting up clear navigation in a Canvas page or module such that you actually tell them, okay, this is the way you need to access it by clicking on your calendar, not specifically clicking on the class. But the good news about this is with option 3, you add that one key element. It could be a key element for you by which you tell students they can only log in specific intervals, just like a real office hour where you'd have a sign on the door saying, my office hours are between 11 and 12. It's a maximum of 15 minutes. I will meet with students in the order that students are lined up sitting outside my office or something of that nature. So Keep that in mind with option 1. With option 2, you have all the students jumping in at the same time on your Zoom in the waiting room. You're going to have to be a little bit nimble if you're talking with students on Zoom, and then say, please wait a second. I need to send a message in the waiting room to everyone waiting saying, I'm going to call on you in the order that you joined, and it'll be 15 minutes, so please be prepared to wait 15 minutes and another 15 minutes, 30 minutes if you're the second or third student who have signed up and have joined your Zoom. So for me, option 1 and 2 that I detailed today are easier, but the caveat is you don't really have a built-in system to prevent multiple students from logging on at the same time. Whereas option 3 that operates via the calendar, setting up that unique Zoom office hour time, that one allows you to very specifically control the flow of traffic. Zoom is doing it for you because the students cannot sign up for a slot that's already been taken using all those parameters that we looked at here in the third option using the calendar Zoom appointment option. So 3 options I discussed today. Choose the one that works the best for you. Again, I think all of them have merits, but you really have to consider which of these you might want to use based on how you're approaching office hours this quarter inside of Zoom. And again, it's always a great opportunity to look at the new video I've done for you talking about Zoom apps, new opportunities for interactive approaches using those apps inside of Canvas now that we have a hosted Zoom sub-account that lives directly inside of Canvas. So thanks for listening to this video today here on Zoom office hour approaches. If you have any other questions, stop by B101A, give me a heads up. We can set up an appointment on Zoom and have a discussion about how to use these the best in your classes, depending on how you teach and approach office hours in your DE face-to-face class here at the college. Thanks for listening. I'll be back with additional videos in the future.